And moving on now from Africa to the American heartland. President Barack Obama has begun new initiatives aimed at helping young American Indians or Native Americans overcome the many challenges they face, from poverty to substance abuse.
In June of last year, Mr. Obama became only the fourth sitting U.S. president to visit an American Indian reservation. And as VOA's Pande tells me, it's all part of a larger effort to provide better educational and other opportunities for these Native Americans.
Let's put our minds together to improve our schools, because our children deserve a world-class education too.
President Barack Obama met with young people here at Cannonball Grade School in June. During that visit, he said expanding educational opportunity and economic development are key to strengthening tribal communities.
Just looking at the youth, first of all, nearly half of Native Americans are under 24. And then if you look in that subgroup, you have a third of children, Native American children, living in poverty. When I was doing the story, I was kind of looking at some of the facts, and I mean, suicide is the second leading cause of death among young people ages 10 to 24.
Wow.
And it's funny, when I went to the reservation, almost everyone I talked to knew someone who had attempted suicide or had killed themselves. And then obviously not just with the youth, but there's a problem of unemployment. But the good thing is there is now a concerted effort on the part of this current administration to try to really address them. So.
During his June visit to Standing Rock, President Obama heard firsthand from tribal youth about the obstacles they face. The rare visit deeply moved Mr. Obama.
We want to give those young people and young Native Americans like them the support they deserve. We have to invest in them and believe in them and love them. And if we do, there's no question of the great things they can achieve, not just for their own families, but for their nation and for the United States.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that government response because, you know, the nation, of course, has a very sensitive, very controversial history with the Native American population to begin with. And then you have the White House 2014 Native Youth Report that you reported on in your story, acknowledging that past federal policy failings have contributed to these really terrible conditions in the community. How exactly has that happened?
Well, taking education, for example, there's really assessing the way the education system has been run. I mean, historically, when you talk about past failings, just grievances, and I talk about this in some of my stories, the fact that so many Native Americans were either forced to go to boarding schools or basically forced to assimilate. And so in one way, they lost a huge part of their culture, their language, that generation. Then when you talk about just, you know, physically, you look at the school systems, the infrastructure is crumbling in a number, like I think a third of schools run by the Bureau of Indian Affairs are said to be in poor condition.
Okay, we're going to give you a tour of our school. This is the Cannonball School.
For school board member Sue Isbell, the need for more funding is apparent as she walks through the grade school, which was built in the 1930s.
There's mold, we struggle with leaks, the ceilings leak. It's just one Band-Aid after another.
Thank you, third graders, for waiting.
Cannonball residents like Randy Dogskin say a better facility for the school of 100 students would help to boost morale for tribal youth who already have among the highest high school dropout rates in the nation.
They're going to be our leaders, you know, one day, and we want them to have that opportunity to know that the reservation here is hard, but there is a lot of good here.
The Interior Secretary Sally Jewell says she needs $1 billion to fix the crumbling schools. So these are some of the failings that they're talking about, and it's a combination, whether it be neglect, not really addressing some of these issues, and until it's really come to a level here.
Point,
yeah,
really,
exactly.
Yeah.
Like, you know, this is unsustainable. So I think that those are some of the issues that were addressed in the report, and obviously with this conference, education was a big part of that. And what they're trying to do is, for example, the Bureau of Indian Affairs that runs the schools on the reservations, they're trying to restructure that. So instead of providing education, there'll be more of a support system. So they're looking at a number of different ways, whether it be addressing the crumbling infrastructure, whether it be looking at the management, how these contracts are awarded. They've found there were fraud and some, I mean, just there's a number of issues.